Are you ready to master Lightning Lane like a pro at Disney's Animal Kingdom in order to have the best day? If so, this video is for you. Hello, magical humans. I'm Kenzie, and today I am at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And this just so happens to be one of my favorite theme parks at Walt Disney World. And I have tested countless touring strategies at this theme park, as well as several Lightning Lane strategies. And today I'm going to pay it forward and share the best strategy that I have found that works every single time with all of you. In order to have the best day at Disney's Animal Kingdom, I'm going to be utilizing a combination of Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, Lightning Lane Single Pass, standby queues, and more. Along the way, I will be sharing several pro tips on how to utilize the Lightning Lane service at Disney's Animal Kingdom and how to maximize your use of the Lightning Lane services at Animal Kingdom. I'll also be showing you the overall best touring strategy that I have found. But most importantly, we are here to have fun and to make magical memories together. So if that sounds good to you, let's go have a wild day. One of my favorite things about utilizing Lightning Lane at Disney's Animal Kingdom is you can have a later start to your morning and still have an extremely successful day here full of activities. And that's one of my favorite things to do when we are here on vacation. We are not rope droppers in the sense that we like to be here exactly when the park opens. Typically, we like to roll in an hour or two after it opens. And you can't do that for every single park at Walt Disney World utilizing Lightning Lane and have the most successful day ever. But you can do that at Animal Kingdom and still have the most successful day ever. And I'm going to show you how to do that. When I walked in this morning, I got here around an hour after the park opened. So for a reference point, the park opened at 8 and I got here around 9. And I was able to luxuriate my way around this morning, which I think is one of the best aspects of Disney's Animal Kingdom. There is so much to see and do outside of the rides and the shows and the attractions here. So when I walked in, Winged Encounters was happening, which is a show with beautiful macaws that will fly right over your head. So I took the opportunity to stop and watch that show, which is wonderful. If you do want to catch that show while you're here, you may see it randomly, or you can check the times in the My Disney Experience app if you definitely want to be there for it. It's right in front of the Tree of Life, and it is a beautiful spectacle for sure. And then after that, I saw Kevin wandering around, and she is the big bird from Up, if you're not aware. And she's just so fun and so magical, and I always love seeing her walk around and interact with guests. So I took the opportunity to stop and interact with Kevin a little bit, took some video for you guys to show you. And so overall, it was just a fun morning, getting to take in some of those little details that a lot of people don't even know are at this theme park. And I also didn't have to stress because I already have 3 pre-booked Lightning Lanes for today. And I know I'll be able to get some other ones during the day as well. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that today. If I wanted to, I could have easily gotten in line for several attractions instead of luxuriating this morning to knock them out. However, if you do purchase Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and or Lightning Lane Single Pass, then you may not have to be in such a hurry, just depending on obviously which one you bought, because different attractions will be covered depending on what you purchase. But don't worry, I will be covering all of those details with you today, and you're going to leave this video a pro. So don't worry, I'm going to try to give you the information in bite-sized chunks so I don't overwhelm you, because this topic can be extremely overwhelming. And the last thing I want you doing is staring at the screen with zombie eyes and disassociating and leaving more stressed out than you came. So my goal is for you to leave this video feeling great. If you would like to knock out some attractions instead of luxuriating during your morning at Disney's Animal Kingdom, you can absolutely do that, and it is an alternative that I do recommend doing. However, I would avoid Pandora because that's pretty much where everybody is going to be rope dropping, because 2 of the most popular attractions are located in that land. You will have Flight of Passage over there, as well as Navi River Journey as well. And then I also would recommend that you skip Kilimanjaro safaris in Asia, because a second wave of people will also be headed in that direction, and the lines for all of those can get pretty long. If you have multi-pass, then you are already covered for Navi River Journey. Hopefully, I'm going to be sharing all the tips so that you definitely get that attraction during your day here at Animal Kingdom. And you can also get Kilimanjaro safaris. And then if you pay for a single pass in addition to multi-pass, you can also get Flight of Passage. If this is all foreign to you, by the way, then don't worry. I'm going to cover in detail what all of this stuff is. Again, I'm trying not to throw too much at you all at once so it's not too overwhelming. Outside of the things that I just told you to avoid, you can pretty much do anything else on the list that is open, and you will most likely be able to walk right onto that ride or experience that attraction right away, which is really nice, and you can get a lot done before you even utilize your first lightning lane. And for that reason, I recommend waiting until around 9:30 to book your first lightning lane at this theme park, because the wait times are so low before then, you can pretty much knock stuff out pretty well, in my opinion. So I did exactly that today. I booked my first lightning lane at Expedition Everest at 9:30, so I can show you exactly what that is like. And if you've made it this far in the video and you even clicked on this video to begin with, then you probably already know that lightning lane is Disney Skip the Line service, but just in case you don't, that's what I'm talking about today. It's all about paying money to save time, and obviously how to do that effectively with the best strategies, and obviously to get your most value out of it, because it can add up pretty quickly on your trip to Disney, especially if you use it every single day or for several days of your trip. We are on our way to go see Disco Yeti right now, but while we're on our way, I want to tell you a little bit more about this attraction. This attraction is an intense roller coaster, and the theming also is impeccable and really well done. So in some ways it doesn't really feel like a typical roller coaster. However, that is what it is at the end of the day. There is a 44-inch height requirement for this attraction, but even if your child does meet that height requirement, I do recommend that you maybe pause, because it really is for only thrill seekers, in my opinion. And if they don't like thrills, then this one might be a skip for your little one. Okay, I am mustering up my bravery, and we are going to go do this. Is always crazy, but I'm always so proud of myself after I do it, because I feel brave. So for whatever it's worth, it is a lot of fun, and I do recommend it. Just know it will be a little bit more on the intense side of things. As soon as we tapped in for our lightning lane for Expedition Everest, we were able to immediately book another one. You can always have 3 lightning lanes at one time, and I advise for the most part that you always do have those 3 at one time. So I scrolled through the options and decided to go with Dinosaur, because it fit in really nicely for our plans for the day, and that is currently at 11 o'clock. So we have a little bit of time before our next lightning lane, which is actually Kilimanjaro Safaris. And I'm gonna take this opportunity to find a spot out of the way that's a little bit more quiet, where we can talk about how to book your pre-selection lightning lanes, because it's a very important topic. As soon as you tap into your first lightning lane, it does unlock some other things that you can do as well. However, I'm just going to quickly and lightly touch on these topics, because they're not super relevant to Disney's Animal Kingdom specifically, but they are things that we will be covering in future lightning lane videos as we grow our knowledge and we get more to that expert level status that you will be at by the end of this series. As soon as you tap in, you not only have the ability to book another lightning lane, but you can also book another lightning lane in another park if you do plan on park hopping during your day. It is important to note that you do need a park hopper ticket in order to do this though, so just keep that in mind. We're not park hopping today, so that's not relevant to us in today's video. Another thing that it allows you to do is modify ones that you already have booked to different tiers. However, Disney's Animal Kingdom does not use the tiered system. Everything is on the same playing field here, and you don't have to worry about the tier system here. So I'm not going to go into depth in terms of what that looks like until we get to the parks where there are tiered systems. Buckle up, Buttercup, because the next topic we have to cover is a lengthy one, but it is extremely important. So put your phone down, tune in, look me in the eyes, and let's have a little chat, because I want to set you up for success for your trip to Walt Disney World. As far as Lightning Lane is concerned here at Walt Disney World, you can select up to 3 attractions in advance of your park day or park days, depending on how many days you want to use it throughout your trip in advance. And it is really important that you do so that you start your day off strong and on the right foot for several different reasons, but we'll get into all of that. If you are staying at a Walt Disney World resort, you can start booking your Lightning Lanes up to 7 days in advance of your check-in day. So you have a huge advantage over other guests because you are staying at a Walt Disney World resort. You get first dibs at attractions and times and all of the things, which is really nice. If you are staying off-site, you can start booking up to 3 days in advance of your park day or park days, depending on what kind of ticket you have. If you have a multiple day ticket, then you can start booking for all the days that you have the multiple day ticket for, and that is really nice. But if you have single day tickets or an annual pass, then you have to book each day individually 3 days before you are going to use it. A lot of people are concerned that are staying off property that they won't be able to get what they want. However, I will say for the most part, most things are still available even at that 3-day mark, so I wouldn't be too concerned. However, there are a couple of exceptions, but there aren't really many exceptions here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Pretty much everything is typically always available, even the day before. However, the longer you wait, the less time options that you will have, and that part can be a huge downside. If you are not able to get exactly what you wanted in terms of attractions, or maybe they're not the ideal times you wanted, then don't worry and don't panic, because you will have several opportunities to fix that leading up to your park day and even during your park day as well. Disney does drop more availability for popular rides that look like they are completely out. If a ride is up and running smoother than expected during the day, it's not uncommon to see drops of things that were previously completely gone. So that part is good news if you are looking for something like that. The same thing does happen with times as well. And of course, guests change their mind too. It's only natural. They may want to cancel something, do something else instead, do something at a different time. So when that happens, those also become available again, and you can snag them when that happens. I highly recommend that you check several times before your park day if you want to try to modify your plans and just see if there is a release of an attraction that you were hoping for, or maybe there's a certain time that's better than the one that you had. Definitely do that. Overall, my recommendation is that if an attraction is there that you want to do, but it is not at the time you want to do it, book it anyway, because I feel like it's a little bit easier to be able to modify it backwards than it is to get something that is completely gone. That's just my opinion and what I've seen over time. Of course, none of that is officially from Disney, but I do think that is a good pro tip to use. There are 3 different types of Lightning Lane at Walt Disney World, but in the spirit of not overwhelming you, I'm going to share one at a time, and we are going to start with Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. Lightning Lane Multi-Pass does vary in price. It depends on the day and it depends on the park, but Disney's Animal Kingdom is always the cheapest option. So for reference, I paid $17 today in order to use Lightning Lane Multi-Pass in this park. As you can see, it can add up pretty quickly if you do have a larger family and you do plan on using it over several days. So that's why I like to make these videos, so you can see if it's worth it for you and also how to get your most value out of it if you do decide to pay for the Lightning Lane experience. Of course, during busier times of year, it is more expensive. So think about summer or over the holidays and those types of times. It's always more expensive when the parks are busier, and when the parks are slower, it is a little bit cheaper. So that part is nice as well. You do have to pay per person. So again, you do have to kind of add it up for each member of your party that will be utilizing this service. Think of Lightning Lane Multi-Pass reservations like picking up to 3 of your favorite songs for your Animal Kingdom playlist. You can have up to 3 songs queued up at a time, and your goal is to choose the ones that will make your day sing, whether it is a thrilling ride or an epic show. At Disney's Animal Kingdom, there are several attractions to choose from, and attractions here is really a fancy name for rides, shows, and experiences. Just so you know, I'll pop up the options on the screen, and of course, we'll go through all of the options today so you can learn more about what you want to do the most. The most important songs to have in your queue are going to be the songs that matter most to you. Having said that, there are some attractions, also known as songs, that are more popular than others. And since there is a limit on how many times a song can be played before it disappears, there are some songs you are going to want to queue first before others. The chart topper at Disney's Animal Kingdom is going to be Navi River Journey. I like to refer to this as the 24K Labubu. Although if I'm being honest, the Labubus do freak me out a little bit. However, I have a lot of respect for the people that do love them. This is the ride that goes the fastest. The next ride that goes quickly is Kilimanjaro Safaris. If it's a hot day, then Cali River Rapids can also fall into this category, but I would say Kilimanjaro Safaris is slightly more popular than Cali River Rapids. These are the sterling silver Labubus for Disney's Animal Kingdom. The next thing on the list is Expedition Everest, but this is definitely not that difficult to get, and so I consider it more of a bronze Labubu. Overall, at Disney's Animal Kingdom, I would say the difficulty level is extremely low here. It's a great park to start in if you have never utilized Lightning Lane before, so that you can get your training wheels before you move up into some of those harder parks to use Lightning Lane in, and you can kind of feel more comfortable on how to utilize the system and all of your strategies and everything like that. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to get everything here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, unless you are coming during a busier time during the summer, in which case you might have to play around a little bit with the times. But I really like that you don't have to stare at your phone in this park. That is one of the biggest downsides to Lightning Lane for me personally. I hate having to be on my phone all day and having to stress about refreshing and looking for times and looking for attractions that I couldn't get in the initial booking session and all of that. You don't have to worry about any of that stress here at Animal Kingdom. So for that reason, I do love using Lightning Lane in this park. Let's use the magic and power of editing to rewind to my pre-selection day for our park day today in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Because I booked my pre-selection attractions only one day in advance, I didn't have as many options as I would have if I would have used my other earlier pre-booking window. However, all the attractions were still available for whatever it's worth. I just wasn't able to get the times that I wanted. However, I was able to modify them, and I was able to use one of my pro level strategies to do that, which I will share later in this video so that you know how to do it as well. But again, in the spirit of not overwhelming you, I'm not going to share that right away. However, I will share the initial stack that I got, and then I will compare it to what I changed it to, so you can kind of get a feel for what is possible in terms of what you can do before you even go into the theme park for the day. Okay, so I'm pulling this up now. Okay, so initially all I could get was Navi River Journey at 210, Kilimanjaro Safaris at 250, and Festival of the Lion King at 330. So that was the original stack that I got. And then I was able to change it. Let me go ahead and pull that up here. And I was able to change it to 930 Expedition Everest, 1055 Kilimanjaro Safaris, 210 Navi River Journey, and 340 Avatar Flight of Passage. So I was able to make it much better, and it's always better if you can have them earlier in the day. However, it's not like completely necessary at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It is nice though, because then you can get more once you check into one, and you have a higher likelihood of just having a better, more relaxed day, because you don't have to worry about getting things or anything like that, because a ton of stuff will still be available. One important thing to note is you do not have to go with the initial times that the system gives you when you are booking your pre-selection times. You can always go in and click modify and see what else is available and play around with it a little bit before you save your pre-selections. And then of course, you can always go in and try to modify those times before you enter a park. And then once you're in the theme park as well, you can go in and modify or look for things that looked like they were initially out of lightning lanes and everything like that. So it's never really too late to get something. You just have to make sure you are checking and doing your due diligence. And if you do that, you will probably be able to set up your day exactly how you want to, especially if you book on time. Don't be like me. I'm a bad example. While we walk over to Dinosaur to use our Lightning Lane multi-pass, I want to tell you a little bit more about what you can expect from this attraction. If you have ever wondered what it is like to live in the time of the dinosaurs, this attraction might be for you. I say might because this attraction is a little bit on the scary side. Most of it takes place in the dark, and it does feature loud sounds, loud noises, jump scares from dinosaurs lurking in the shadows, and it might scare some children or even adults. Honestly, it kind of creeps me out if I'm being honest, but you know, I definitely am not the best example for most adults. Anyway, it's just not for the faint of heart, so do know that. It's also on the rougher side. It has hairpin turns, dips, and pivots, so if a rough ride is gonna bother you, you may wanna skip out on this one. It's also important to note that there is a 40-inch height requirement for this ride, and it is best suited for bigger kids and adults for all of the reasons that I stated. All right, it's officially time to travel back in time and see if we're gonna make it. They're not gonna make it, they're not gonna make it. Or will we? I don't know, let's go find out.
We gotta get in, grab the iguanodon, and get out before the asteroid hits. Let's roll. Could be ours. Computer, full stop. Identify. Definitely not our dino. Go, go, go! That's it.
Iguanodon.
Forget it! Get them out now! Brace yourself! This is it! They're not gonna make it! They're not gonna make it!
Mission accomplished.
You made it! I knew you would, and guess who made it back with you? I better find it before security does. Thanks for everything!
I honestly probably did not need a Lightning Lane multi-pass for Dinosaur, but it is a little bit more popular right now because it is officially closing as of February 2nd, 2026. So February 1st, 2026 is your last day to experience that attraction and anything that's left in that land, just so you know, and that way you'll know if it needs to be included in your Lightning Lane plans or not, depending on the date that you come here. Okay, we are headed over to Kilimanjaro Safaris now. It is coming up on the end of our booking window, and so I wanted to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about grace periods. As far as Lightning Lanes are concerned, you can tap in up to 5 minutes before the start of your window, and then as far as after, it officially is anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes after your window, as far as Disney states or what cast member you ask. However, we have noticed for the past couple of months that you can tap in up to 1 hour and 59 minutes after the end of your window. So you do have a little bit of flexibility in case something goes awry. Of course, Disney understands that things happen and all of that. But after that 1 hour and 59 minutes, whenever you try to scan in, it will turn blue. And then you will have to talk to a cast member. And most of the time they do try to have grace and they may still let you on the attraction or do the experience. However, they don't have to, and if it's busier, they might not. So always do your best to be on time. But if you are running late, don't stress out, don't worry. You can be a little bit late and you can still take advantage of your Lightning Lane. One of the best things about Disney's Animal Kingdom is there are a lot of like random entertainment things and unexpected magical things that you may run into during your day. So for example, we just walked by a band that was out playing wonderful music and kids were dancing. And it's just like a fun, unexpected, magical thing that can happen to you. And the best part about Lightning Lane is it really does free you up for those experiences a lot more because you have a lot more time to wander, to luxuriate, and to just enjoy your day. And so you are more likely to run into more magical experiences just like that. We are on our way now to Kilimanjaro Safaris, which is one of the most popular attractions here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and for good reason, because it feels like you are on a real-life African safari. But at Walt Disney World, of course, there are real safari vehicles that are driven by guides, and they share so many fun facts about all the animals you see along the way. You get to see a lot of endangered species, as well as just other animals. There's a pretty wide variety, which is really fun, and no two safaris are ever the same. You never know what animals will be out, which ones won't, which ones will be hiding, which ones won't. And so all of that does make it a repeatable experience. And I do recommend doing this more than once in your day if you do have time, just because the experiences can vary so much. The attraction itself lasts around 22 minutes, but it really can vary because sometimes you do have to stop and wait for the animals in your path. They always have the right of way, of course. There will always be a sign right outside of the attraction that tells you when it will close, and you can also check the My Disney Experience app, but just make sure that you're not planning on saving it for the end of the day and then you realize that there are no more safaris for the end of the day, because that would be tragic. This attraction is so much fun and you have to do it during your day at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Because it is the middle of the summer right now, the attraction is open until 6 when the park closes, so that's not applicable right now, but in the winter months or in the cooler months when the sun sets earlier, it will close earlier, sometimes as early as 4:30, for example, so do make sure you double check. We just finished up our safari on Kilimanjaro Safaris, and we had the best safari driver. He was truly fantastic, and we also got to see tons of animals. So it just goes to show you that you never know what you're going to get on that attraction. Even when it is a really hot part of the day, you might get lucky like we did today. The rain ended up holding off and never happened, so we got lucky there as well. We saw so many animals and it was such a good time. Truly one of my favorite attractions here at Animal Kingdom. As a next step, we are going to go to lunch. As we were boarding our safari vehicle, I decided to mobile order from Satuli Canteen, which is one of my favorite quick service restaurants here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It is really popular, so if you do want to order from there, just know that if you are going to be eating at a popular time and you want to mobile order, you're going to want to do it in advance. The next arrival window was around 20 to 30 minutes away from when I placed the order, which was perfect because that's how long the attraction takes. So one thing you can do if you just want to be sure you can eat at a specific time is to mobile order in the morning for the time that you want to pick it up at. And then if for some reason you need to move it, you can do that in the My Disney Experience app. Disney makes it super easy to order food mobily from many locations on My Disney Experience. I can't wait to show you what I ordered because it's going to be delicious. Let's go have a yummy lunch. I ended up ordering the chimichurri beef bowl with rice and beans and the creamy herb dressing. It is really so good and a healthier option, which is really nice when you're at a theme park like Walt Disney World. I also got the chocolate mousse that they have here, which is also really tasty. This place is popular and for good reason. We just finished up lunch at Satuli Canteen and it was delicious as always. It truly never disappoints. And while we were at lunch, I did mess around with our Lightning Lane reservations a little bit so that we could see some of my favorite shows during our Animal Kingdom day today. I will tell you that you do not need to book a Lightning Lane for shows. However, I do think it is helpful in some cases. If you are coming during a busier time of year, that might be a case where you want to book shows, or maybe if some of the attractions don't interest you or you have small kids and they don't meet the height requirements and you don't want to do rider swap and all of that, you may want to do more shows in your day. It's really up to you. And I know I've said this several times, but just want to emphasize that this is your day and you want to pick the things that matter most to you. I'm just trying to show you a wide range of options and some of my favorite things throughout today so you can get a feel for what a good touring strategy can look like if you want to try to get a lot done in one day here. If you are only going to see one show at Disney's Animal Kingdom, I recommend that it is Festival of the Lion King. It's also the most popular show, so that's why I recommend booking Lightning Lane for this one if you are going to use a Lightning Lane for a show. It's an amazing Broadway-style show and it lasts for 40 minutes and it's one of the best shows at Walt Disney World. All of the shows at Walt Disney World have set times, and of course Festival of the Lion King is no exception, so be sure to check your My Disney Experience app to see what times the show is happening throughout the day. It is not uncommon for people in the standby line to get turned away because the show fills up to capacity, especially during busy times of the year. When you do book a Lightning Lane multi-pass for a show, it will give you a time to return that is 30 minutes up to 10 minutes before the actual show time starts. And you want to make sure that you are actually on time for this return window, because if not, you might not get a seat. And if the show's already started, they might not just let you in for the safety of the performers and of course the guests and all of that as well. So make sure you are on time for these. You can be late to the other ones that are attractions that are more like rides, but definitely do not be late to the shows. If for some reason something is running late, maybe your dining reservation's running late or something like that, something came up, then you can always modify your show time. So be sure to do that if you are running late so that you don't run into any issues getting into the show. There are always two entrances when you use Lightning Lane. There's the standby entrance and then there's the Lightning Lane entrance, and that works for the multi-pass attractions and the single pass attractions. They will both say Lightning Lane above it, and that's how you know where to go. All right, it's time to scan in for this fantastic show. I can't wait to show it to you. Using Lightning Lane for a show does not guarantee that you will have a better seat than you would if you waited in the standby line, but it does guarantee you a seat. And so that is a key factor to note. You might not end up with the best seat in the house just because you're using Lightning Lane, but you will have a guaranteed seat. So that part is nice for popular shows like this one.
Welcome to my world. Oh. Respected, saluted, and seen.
That show never disappoints. Even though I have seen it countless times, I still just get super emotional watching it. It is so well done, and it is absolutely worth your time when you come to Animal Kingdom. If you only do one show, let it be that one. It is on the longer side. It does have around a 40-minute run time. So it does take up a little bit of a chunk of your day, but if you plan accordingly, then you'll have plenty of time. Since you've done such a great job with the basics today, I think it's time for you to level up a little bit, and I'm going to teach you something that is a little bit more advanced. I'm going to teach you how to modify a Lightning Lane experience. This goes for Lightning Lane multi-pass and Lightning Lane single pass, so that part is really nice. When I say modify, I mean that you can either remove people from your reservation, add people to your reservation, you can change the time of your reservation, or you can change the attraction completely if you want to. So let's pull up My Disney Experience together and I'll walk you through my favorite way to do this. Click on today's plans and you will see all of your Lightning Lane plans along with any kind of restaurants or reservations that you have made. From there, you're going to want to click on the reservation that you want to modify. You can click on Cancel Plan if you want to take someone off of the reservation. However, if you just want to modify your plan, then make sure you click that and you can either change the time or the attraction you have reserved instead. Because we have around 30 minutes before we have to be at our next experience, which just so happens to be another show that I would like to show you during today's video, we are going to check out one of the exploration trails. There are several here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, but my favorite is located in Africa and it is called the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. It is self-guided, and these trails are a great thing to do in between Lightning Lane reservations or just various things in between your day. You can take them as slow or as fast as you want. I would say give yourself at least 20 minutes if possible to enjoy the experience so you don't feel too rushed. However, you can easily spend over an hour on these trails as well if you want to. You get to see various different animals that are native to the region that the land is in. So this one is obviously animals that are native to Africa, and I'm really excited to show you why it's one of my favorite trails. Another really important thing to note about these trails is they typically do not open when the parks open, and they can close early. So make sure you double check the hours if you do want to do any of the trails during any of the days you are at Disney's Animal Kingdom. For example, this trail opened at 8:30 today and the park opened at 8, so 30 minutes later. It does close at the time the park closes because it's the summer right now. So the park closes at 6 today and this trail closes at 6. However, if you were to come during the winter or a different time of year when the sun sets earlier, then the trails also do close earlier during those times of year. As I was walking away, the cast member did say that the gorillas in the outdoor enclosure area do tend to go in around 4:30. So if you do want to see the gorillas, make sure you prioritize this trail earlier in the day. I feel like the gorillas are definitely the highlight of this trail. However, there are plenty of other really fun and cool things to see, just depending on how much time you have and what your interest level is in various different animals in your party. All right, I think you are finally ready for my most advanced tip of the day, and that is how I got the Lightning Lane times that I wanted for today. And this is such a handy trick to use, not only at Animal Kingdom, but at all of the theme parks any day that you are using Lightning Lane. If there is something that you want that you haven't been able to get, or you haven't been able to get the time you want yet, then you're gonna wanna use Disney Genie. This is a free service that is separate from Lightning Lane Single Pass and Lightning Lane Multi Pass. You might think that the Genie is long gone because Disney got rid of Genie Plus, but the truth is the Genie still lives inside of your phone. He's there to help you book Lightning Lanes and enjoy your day at the parks. All you have to do is scroll down until you see today's plans. Then click Get Started Now. Then click Start Now. Then click the day you want to use it for. Scroll down and select the park you want to use it for. Then you click Continue. Check the members of your party. Click Continue. It is going to ask you which attractions you are most interested in, and you are only going to want to pick your top 1 to 2 because it is going to pin them at the top of your screen every single time you go to your tip board. You can skip everything else that it asks you for now. Now, when you go into the tip board screen, you will see whatever you selected at the top of the screen. You can refresh it throughout the day, and you can easily see if a better option is available or if something opened up for an attraction you weren't able to get in the first place. It's important to know that the Lightning Lane system is extremely competitive. You only have milliseconds to grab something when it appears at the top of your list, so make sure that you click very fast. If someone clicks faster than you, it will go away and it will no longer be available. If you want to change your selection, you can go into your tip board screen and click Edit Selections. Then you can click or unclick anything you want that is pinned if it's in the same park. It is time for our next experience. We are heading over to another show called Finding Nemo, The Big Blue, and Beyond. I highly recommend this show. It's another Broadway level quality of show. Disney does a great job with their shows, and this one does not disappoint. The show is unique because it also has puppets in it, and the performers also sing and they control the puppets, and it's just remarkable seeing them do their craft. They do such a good job in this show. This is another show that has set show times throughout the day, so you're going to want to check My Disney Experience if you want to catch one of these shows. We have never had a problem walking up to this show in standby and getting a seat, but if you just want to be 100% sure that you're going to get one, then you might as well book it if you've already booked everything else that you want to in your day. And would you look at that, another magical moment. We got to see a beautiful performer. I thought that was just regular loop music over the speakers, but nope, it's someone who is performing live, which makes it extra cool and extra special. There are so many moments like that that you can experience at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So keep your eyes open and keep your ears open too, so you don't miss out.
My son, look at Nemo. Have you seen a boat? I've seen a boat. Follow me. Let us all sign a pledge Fish are fresh.
Fish are fresh. It's not food.
Keep swimming, just keep swimming. Everything will be okay. See?
Son, let's go have an adventure.
We just got out of the show, and I do have a confession. If you do not like that show, I don't know if we can be friends. I'm obviously joking. I know everybody has different preferences, and some people just don't like shows like that. However, if you do, you definitely need to make the time to see it. It's definitely a good time, and I promise you it is worth the time to see it. All right, we are currently in Asia, and we have a little bit of time before our next experience. As you can see, it is starting to rain, but I have an umbrella, so I think we should be okay unless it turns into a torrential downpour. So next, let's go ahead and check out one of the other exploration trails. This is another really great one to check out if you are looking for something like this on your trip. This one is called the Maharaja Jungle Trek. And in this trail, you will see animals from Asia. So it is a very special treat. This trail also does open a little bit later than the park. So for example, this morning it opened at 8:45, even though the park opened at 8. And it does sometimes close early during the months when the sun goes down a little bit sooner, but it is open to 6 tonight because we are here in the summer. This trail really does have a lot of really beautiful animals to look at, and it also has some fantastic theming and storytelling in the way that Disney does, and I'm really excited to show it to you. The main event on this trail are the tigers, but they're not always out. If you do come earlier in the morning, you generally do have a better chance of seeing them. They usually are put away on the earlier side, just like the gorillas are. So that is a pro tip to keep in mind if you really do want to see the tigers. We are about to head into the bird sanctuary. There are tons of birds that are just flying around in open space as soon as you walk in. I quite frankly find it slightly terrifying because I did have a bad experience with a bird once. It was a bird with bright red eyes, and it came straight for my head. I'm not even joking. And it was traumatizing a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And I've been kind of freaked out about this bird sanctuary ever since. However, I will do it for you today, and we'll hope that the red-eyed bird isn't looking for me. There's my arch nemesis, right in the middle of the path. Luckily, I made it out alive and unscathed. I even came face to face with my arch nemesis, the red-eyed bird itself. It was walking straight towards me for a minute, and that did make me a little bit nervous, if I am being honest. However, it was just getting a drink of water. So maybe I do need to make peace with my arch nemesis after all. I do think the bird sanctuary is definitely a highlight for this trail. A lot of people don't realize it's even a part of this experience, but it is really fun and really beautiful. So I do recommend checking that part of the trail out if you do this one when you are at Animal Kingdom. Depending on how familiar you are with Disney's Animal Kingdom, you might have noticed that I have missed a key attraction that is a part of this park, and that attraction is Kali River Rapids. And I have to say that I personally despise this ride, and I refuse to go on it because you will most likely get very wet on this ride, and I hate the feeling of being completely soaked throughout the park day. It's just not a fun experience for me. However, a lot of people do really enjoy it, so if you do, you can easily get a Lightning Lane multi-pass for this experience. We could have gotten in it any time throughout the day, and honestly, I could get it right now if I wanted to, but like I said, I don't. So that is just something to keep in mind. Cali River Rapids is a river raft ride, and again, you do have a high chance of getting wet, so just know that going in. It also has a 38-inch height requirement. If someone in your party doesn't want to ride or isn't tall enough to ride, you can stand on the bridge and watch your party float on by. There are also little buttons that you can activate and squirt other people as they are floating by to get them even more wet if you want to. I do recommend bringing a poncho if you want to ride this ride, and maybe even some flip-flops, because there is nothing worse than having wet, soggy shoes for the rest of the day. There are free lockers that you can utilize for up to an hour right next to this attraction, so you can put anything in there that you don't want to get wet. I should also mention that it is possible you won't get wet at all, but the chances of that are a little slim in my opinion. When you do get wet, there is a huge wave that comes into the raft and it will soak you completely down to the bone, so just keep that in mind. It's time to go off to our next attraction. And the finale of our show marathon is Feathered Friends in Flight. This show is the least popular show at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and you never need to use a Lightning Lane for it, just so you know, but it is a part of Lightning Lane Multipass if it is something you are interested in considering booking. This is also my least favorite show out of the three, for whatever it's worth. I know sometimes you have to prioritize and choose what's most important to you. So if you are trying to prioritize the shows, I would say Festival of the Lion King is number 1. Number 2 is the Finding Nemo show, and Feathered Friends in Flight is number 3. Feathered Friends in Flight is in Asia, and it is a 35-minute show. During the show, you get to learn how the flight birds were trained and how they care for them at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Several birds are brought out onto the stage to perform, and they also do some flying stunts that also involve audience participation, so that part is a lot of fun. This show has specific show times, just like all of the other shows do, so make sure you check My Disney Experience if this is a show that you want to see during your trip. The theater is covered, but it is not air conditioned, so the earlier or the later times might be a better option if you are coming during one of the warmer months.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Boom, all of our training. You see Adam giving those streets over. That is the basis of our training. So, positive reinforcement. These birds can fly over them. Whatever ones. When they do something like, we want to give them something that they like. Toy Story. Take that as a shoelace. Say it here. What? Did you steal from a tree for a tiny my shoe? No.
He knows how to sound like a pirate. Just like that. What if we do like a 5-second dance party? You ready? Okay. All right, Kiwi, you ready? Yeah.
All right. Those efforts paid off. The bald eagles numbers rose. In fact, they rose so high, they were taken off the endangered species list. For our feathered friends, we'd like to leave you with one last wish.
May your heart stay light and your spirit soar forever.
Namaste.
Isn't that a delightful show? Now we are going to end our day strong because we have 2 of the most popular attractions to do, and I have some more really important information to share with you, so you definitely want to hang tight for this. We are on our way to Pandora now, but we are walking by Adventurers Outpost, so I just wanted to point out where this is. That's where you can meet Minnie and Mickey in their safari gear, and it is a really cute meet and greet. Usually doesn't have that long of a line, but it is definitely worth checking out if you want to do characters during your day at Animal Kingdom. We are on our way to Pandora, the world of Avatar now. However, if you have been to Disney before, or if you know anything about Animal Kingdom, you might be wondering why I have not mentioned Avatar Flight of Passage yet, since that is the most popular attraction in this park. And I wanted to save it for the end because I didn't want to overwhelm you too much, because this attraction is not a part of Lightning Lane Multipass. Instead, it is a part of Lightning Lane Single Pass, which is a separate Lightning Lane system. These attractions are the most popular attractions in each of the theme parks at Walt Disney World. However, at Disney's Animal Kingdom, there is only one, and that one is Flight of Passage. That means that there is a separate cost in order to buy a single pass for the attraction. So to put it into perspective, for today, for my day at Animal Kingdom, I paid $17 for multi-pass, and then I paid $17 for single pass in order to skip the line for Flight of Passage. Flight of Passage pretty much has a really long line all day. I can almost guarantee you that. So I really do think buying a single pass for Flight of Passage is something to consider during your day at Animal Kingdom. The cost does vary depending on the day, just like multi-pass, and they're not always the same price either. They sometimes are different prices, so definitely keep that in mind as well. One of the biggest pros is you can modify a single pass attraction. You can modify the time, the ride, or even the day, depending on availability. However, I will warn you that day of, it is really hard to modify single pass attractions. There is a 44-inch height requirement for this ride, and it does have a little bit of an unusual seat, so it's not a bad idea to check out the test seat before you get in line for this experience, just to make sure that you'll be comfortable. In this ride, you get to board the back of a Banshee, which is a simulated ride vehicle. However, it is a very creative simulated ride vehicle. It basically feels like the Banshee is breathing in between your legs. It is just one of those cool things that is really hard to describe until you experience it. Because it is a simulated ride, you do have 3D glasses and you are flying in front of a screen. That I know bothers a lot of people. However, I do have issues with motion sickness on a lot of attractions, and this one doesn't bother me for whatever it's worth. But if you do have issues, then you definitely are going to want to keep it in mind. Maybe save it for the end of your day so you don't ruin your whole day if you end up not feeling well after the experience. If you do not want to buy a Lightning Lane single pass for this attraction, but you still want to ride it with the lowest possible wait time, then I do recommend doing this first thing if you are going to rope drop. And if you are staying at a Walt Disney World resort, then consider doing it during early theme park entry. For those that don't know, you are eligible for this if you are staying at a Walt Disney World resort. You can get into any of the 4 Disney theme parks 30 minutes early, and it is a huge advantage. So take advantage of that on your Animal Kingdom day and head straight for Flight of Passage if it is important to you during your trip. Another thing you can consider is saving it for the last ride of the night. However, that does come with risks, because if something does happen and the ride does go down, for example, you may not get to experience it because you don't have any more time for it to come back up during the day like you would if it broke down in the middle of the day or something. However, I will say that it does have a pretty good track record compared to some other newer rides at Walt Disney World. Rise of the Resistance, I'm looking at too. Nothing personal, but that one does break down a lot. This one doesn't break down as often, so you probably have a higher chance of riding it at the end of the night. The best thing about Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resort is you can get in line right as the park is closing. So if the park closes at 6, like it does tonight, if you get in line at 5:59, they're still gonna let you wait in the queue and experience the attraction, even though by the time you get on the attraction, the park will be closed. And I think it is kind of nice to do that in Pandora because it actually does glow at night, which a lot of people don't realize because of how early Animal Kingdom closes. It typically closes before sunset pretty much all year now, and so you don't have as many chances to be able to see it light up at night. And if you do get in line last thing when the park is about to close, then by the time you wait through the line and by the time you get out, you might have a chance to see it. It is officially time to get on the back of a Banshee and fly. One downside of utilizing Lightning Lane for this attraction is you do bypass a lot of the incredible theming that is a part of the queue. So you bypass things like a floating avatar in this like tube thing. You bypass a really cool lab, a bioluminescent forest, and some other things. However, you do save a lot of time, typically more than an hour. So for that reason, it is worth it, but Standby does have a lot more details to appreciate along the way.
First, we need to find a compatible match of your genetic material with the genetic material of one of the avatar bodies that we already have. Once we do that, you'll be able to link to that avatar and fly.
Put on your flight visors.
One fun fact is as you are leaving the attraction, you might see 3 red handprints on the wall. And if you do, you are in luck because those are the actual handprints of Joe Rohde, James Cameron, and John Lithgow. Of course, James Cameron was the director of Avatar and John Lithgow was the film's producer, and everyone knows who James Cameron is, so I don't even need to tell you who he is. But it's a really cool detail that you can only see from some of the exits of the attraction. If you are able to see it, it will be on the right-hand side on the wall, so keep an eye out. Flight of Passage is truly the best way to end your day at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It is such an amazing attraction. It is really amazing what the Imagineers were able to do with it. And like I said, videos just don't do it justice. You can feel the Banshee breathing in between your legs. You feel the breeze on your skin. You can smell the most incredible smells. You see the most incredible visuals, and it is weirdly like an emotional experience. Like, it makes me feel like I want to cry, and sometimes I do just because it's so beautiful, and you are just going to love it. I just think there's no way around it unless for some reason you're not comfortable on the ride vehicle, which I understand. But I definitely recommend that you check out Flight of Passage on your Animal Kingdom day. I feel like now is a great time to talk about the third Lightning Lane option. It is the newest option at Walt Disney World, and it is called Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Lightning Lane Premier Pass is an expensive option, but it also grants you one-time access to all eligible attractions via the Lightning Lane line without having to book a return time for an attraction. So it is really nice because you don't have to worry about being on your phone all day. However, the price does limit most people from using it because it ranges from $129 per person per day to $449 per person per day, depending on the park and of course how busy the park is. It also does not include park hopping like Lightning Lane Multi-Pass does, so that is definitely a disadvantage as well. You do have to decide what park you are going to be using it for the whole day. It's kind of like having a modified VIP experience, if you will, but the other downside is you can only do the attractions once per day. However, it is the same with Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Single Pass, just so you know, if you are using a pass, of course. However, you can use the standby line, which all attractions have for free, and you can ride something as many times as your heart desires. The last attraction we have to do in Pandora World of Avatar is Na'vi River Journey. This is the most competitive attraction. As a reminder, it is a 24K Labubu experience as far as Lightning Lane Multi-Pass is concerned, but it is included in Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, so that part is really nice. This is also a family-friendly ride with no height requirement, so that part is also super nice. It's a gentle boat ride through Pandora's glowing bioluminescent rainforest. You also get to see an impressive Na'vi shaman of songs. It is one of the largest and most advanced animatronics that Disney has ever created. This is the highlight of the ride for most people, and honestly, sometimes it's the only reason why they ride it at all, because otherwise it doesn't really have a lot to offer, but it is beautiful and it is relaxing and enjoyable, especially if you have a Lightning Lane Multi-Pass because you can skip the long line. The animatronic is almost 10 feet tall, which is the average height of those who live in Pandora, as a fun fact. It is important to note that because it is so advanced, it is known to break from time to time, and whenever that does happen, it is replaced by a screen, so just set your expectations appropriately just in case that animatronic is not working during your trip.
For your safety, please remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the boat. And please supervise your children.
Luckily, the shaman was working today, so I'm really glad that you got to see it. However, I will say that this attraction always has a long wait. However, it is a little bit unremarkable minus the shaman. The people behind me were even saying how disappointed they were that they waited 75 minutes for that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you are deciding what your priorities are in this theme park, especially if you don't have Lightning Lane multi-pass. It is always something I do like to mention. I will also say though that this is a really good option for little kids, and I know they can't do everything in this park, and there is already not as many options as some of the other parks. And so for that reason, it can be a good option for you and your family. It just kind of depends on what you want out of your day at Disney's Animal Kingdom. There's really only one thing that we did not do today, and that is go over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. The reason for that is because it is a little out of the way, and a lot of people choose not to go over there for that reason. You have to take a train, and it does take some time to get to and from, and unless you have an hour or more to spend there, it's really not worth going over there. And if nothing over there interests you, then I definitely do recommend skipping it. We don't always go, just to give you some perspective. We only do it sometimes because it's not as exciting or as fun as some of the other things here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It just kind of depends on how you want to prioritize your day. The train ride takes about 7 minutes each way, and trains usually come every 5 to 7 minutes. The train typically runs non-stop starting 30 minutes after park opening, and the last daily train typically departs around 4:30. There is a petting zoo known as the Affection Section. That is my favorite thing that is offered over there. You can view other creatures inside with small habitats such as scorpions, snakes, tarantulas, and things of that nature. There is also a vet treatment room, and you might be able to see real animal procedures happening in process. This could be really great for some little ones that are, interested in maybe being a vet one day or something like that. But honestly, it just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I typically try to skip this portion of this experience. The best reason to go over there, in my opinion, is for the animation experience at the conservation station. During this experience, a Disney animator will give you step-by-step instructions on how to draw a popular Disney character, and it does take around 25 minutes, so it is a longer experience, which is nice. It is important to note that the pace of this mini animation class can be fast, and it can be frustrating for some adults, but especially some kids, so just keep that in mind. The times for the animation experience are listed in the My Disney Experience app if you are curious. Disney does recommend that you board a train about 40 minutes before your animation experience starts if you do want to participate, because again, it can take some time to wait for a train, board, and get over there, and then walk over to the area where the class is taking place. Every once in a while, you also might see a character meet and greet over there, but I wouldn't go there just for that. There are plenty of those around Animal Kingdom, which again, isn't something we prioritize today, but if it is something that is important to you, then you can take advantage of those here. Moana also does meet here, which is another popular character, so that is something you can do as well if you do want to prioritize characters. At the end of the day, your touring plan is your own, and you can take things out that we did today that don't fit your party's needs, or if they don't excite you and they didn't look like fun, and vice versa. So it is really nice how interchangeable it is. However, I will say that it is really hard to do literally everything in one day here. I know a lot of people say it's a half-day park, but I think it's because they just don't do everything, which is okay. If you just want to do the attractions, you can knock those out pretty fast and then get on your way. But if you do want the full experience at Animal Kingdom, which I do recommend, then I do recommend spending at least one full day here during your trip. I can also make a video that shows you how to tour without Lightning Lane in this park if that's something you're interested in as well, just to show you realistically what you can possibly get done in one day without overextending yourself and making it a miserable experience. As a friendly reminder, we are going to be leveling up together, and we are going to be utilizing Lightning Lane in the other 3 parks as well. This is a series, and this is the first video in the series. As we move up for each park, the difficulty will get harder and harder. So you now have your training wheels. Next time we're going to take them off, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more tips, tricks, and strategies that you need in order to have a successful day utilizing Lightning Lane in those parks. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. If you have any questions about utilizing Lightning Lane Multi-Pass or Lightning Lane Single Pass at Disney's Animal Kingdom, then feel free to drop your questions below. You can also ask general touring plan questions if you have any questions about touring at Disney's Animal Kingdom as well. If you enjoyed today's video, it would mean so much to me if you would consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and hitting that bell notification so you're notified next time I post a magical video. I post exclusively about Disney parks and more specifically about Disney parks planning content, and I would love to see you here again. Also, a huge heartfelt thank you to all of my patrons, because without them, this channel would not exist. If you would like to consider joining us, the link to join will be below. I share a lot of exclusive behind the scenes content over there, and we like to have a lot of fun together. Until next time, I'm Kenzie. See you real soon.